Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, another rip your face off rally. Oh my goodness, boy! I tell you, if there's anybody still shorting it, I mean, they got crushed today. Margin call, forced to cover, which is why you kept seeing it move up, and it wasn't just tech. It started out just tech, and then it spread. I'm going to show you that, and also something I don't think I've ever seen this before. Actually, there's something I don't think I've ever seen. I want to get your opinion on this for those who've been around longer. And then something, again, I say a year first. Now I just have to say it's a time of first. Like something, again, we've never seen. It's a new, whatever you want to call this market is. But I'll visually show you what I'm talking about because I'm going to have to answer a question in tomorrow's video when I answer you guys' questions about this specific topic. And then we'll look at some charts because guess what? Had a major new all-time high today, right? On one of the major stocks. And we said once it gets there, there's nothing above it, right? And what do we talk about? If you want this market to pull back, there's two things that got to happen. And we're going to look at that because it sure didn't happen today. Now, this is the II U.S. investor sentiment bearish readings. And you can see how bad we were, right? And then look at this. That goes all the way back to 03, like the dot-com bubble. And when you look, you go, wait a minute, that flipped. What happened here? Same thing. But the bullish sentiment, look how much the bullish, when it gets that bearish, that's when you usually have these huge moves, right? And then look at the bullish, right? It popped up, and I've never seen like the change like this happen before. And look at this on a visual what I'm talking about. Look at how much we were bearish on 11.1, and in 1 week, look at that flip. 50% sitting down there on 11.1 on the bears. Now it's only 27%. Where'd they go? 42.6% on the bullishness. I mean, I'm sure that's happened at some major inflection point. But boy, this is why you're seeing just this crazy rip your face off type rally, because you have, like we talked about many months leading into this, or weeks, seasonality, all that stuff for semiconductors is good seasonality for them. We were so bearish, it makes it bullish, all that good stuff. Now, what have we never seen before in any major turn in the market? What's happening to small caps and the equal weighted indexes, right? And this chart says returns of the S&P 500 equal weighted index and small caps 1 year after a bear market low, which some people believe is October last year, right? And so when you look at this, I mean, it's small caps and it's equal weighted ETFs. That's what has led going back to 1982 when you swing. Look at it now. I mean, just abysmal, even more abysmal as you kind of look at what's going on with the S&P itself, because it's all about the NASDAQ, right? And I'll get in more to that tomorrow because somebody did ask a specific question about this. But that's, I just want you to visually see it, what's going on there. And if you look, this is a complete sector rally. Not one red single sector out there. And if you look, what's at the top? The aggressive stuff, right? We've talked about XLK, XLY, XLC versus the defensive stuff, which is at the bottom and nowhere near as much money going into it, okay? So that is big money moving into the more aggressive sectors, right? Not being defensive, all right? Now, what else happened today? You had QQEW here. You can see it. The QQQ is up over 2%, but the QQEW is sitting there at 1.8, right? So more breadth, right? More stocks rallying. The SPY 5.7, and then the RSP up 1.2. So that means more breadth, more stocks actually moving up. Now, big deal for the S&P today if it can hold this. What it did was it finally broke through that $4,400 level. This is what people were waiting on. Right? It hadn't been above it since September. And so they kept kind of trying to get above it, and it was basically a ceiling for it. And it broke through today. I obviously want to see a daily candle close above this for sure. To confirm this, it closed above it, but I like to see a full candle above it. I like to see two, as a matter of fact, and then retest it and then make it into support again. That's what you're looking at here. You can see, though, the MACD looks good. I've already showed you the RSI. And so, again, we came up, we bumped up against it this morning, got rejected, came back, and then blew right through it. So, and again, around, I think it was like 10:30, something like that, 10:45 after we got the sell-off from getting what people thought was going to be, bad market sentiment news and all that good stuff, which it was. Market said, the hell with that, we're going higher, and it just started pumping like crazy. And again, this has a lot to do with the put-call ratio, which I'll talk more about on Sunday, because it's still extremely high. When it's extremely high, that's when it's hard to get a pullback in this market. So again, we'll pay attention. Let's see what happens Monday on this one. Now, looking at the big data here, the QQQ. And before we continue, guys, please hit that like button there at the bottom. Give it a thumbs up. Helps people find the video. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all you guys' support. Now, when you look at the Qs, that is a daily candle. It is a massive daily candle. That's why I always say when you get, one bad sell-off in a day, you have to keep things in context and see if it's going to continue. One red day doesn't mean anything, especially the way this thing's moving up. And you can see it broke through October's highs. When we come over here, we say, okay, where did it stop at? And we kind of come through here because one thing it did do was fill another RTH gap. And when I look, what happened was it basically stopped right there at the, looks like, is that September's highs right there? Yeah, that's September. Yeah, that is September's highs right there. Because we keep moving back, yep, that's August. So it stopped at September's high, so we're going to mark that and see if we can get above that and then retest, make that in support. And then if we come over here, I'm sure if we keep looking for the next move, because there's an RTH gap right above that, which it could be drawn into that like magnets when this happens. And we'll also mark that up because once it gets past September's highs, which is right at now, then you're going to be looking at August highs, right? And so coming over here, right there is August highs. And so we'll mark that one up too. It's not very far above it, as you can see right there. And so I don't really think that right there is going to take long if we keep moving. I mean, do I think we need to pull back? Of course we need to pull back, but this is just shorts covering until that put call ratio comes down to normal. You can start seeing, because there's still bears out there, right? Still holding on to those shorts and keep trying to short this thing, thinking it's going to come back down, and they keep getting squeezed. And so when that finally subsides, then we'll see what we got. But yeah, healthy market to move up needs to pull back. But again, when you get these rip your face off rallies, it's hard to do, man. Really hard to do. And you can see what's crazy about it. It's not even overbought on the daily yet. That's what's even. I mean, you would think with all of this, it will be overbought, and it's not. Right? MACD's above zero, so it's still got room to move if it wants to, and it has draw on liquidity right above it. So we'll see. Now Tesla started off bad today, ended up going right down to that 205 level right there. Closed another RTH gap when it did that, which is a good thing. We've been wanting that. It completed that RTH gap fill, as you can see right there. That was the exact bottom right there. And so, it started moving back up with everything else. Again, it's dragging. I mean, honestly, when you compare it to the other Mag 7, it's way behind right now. And so people don't really know if it's like a canary in the coal mine, because again, this is something that sells a big, large product, right? And so if economies are slowing down, this would be the one out of the Mag 7 that would slow down the most. But again, it's not fundamentals that moves this. It's going to be the call volume and the news. That's what moved it yesterday, was news, okay? And so it's still got a lot of stuff to do. The big thing it has to do is we come over here, the moving averages. It has to reclaim this 200 moving average, right? We talked about it the other day how it just kept basically trading around the 200. Now it's below the 200 once again. And so it needs to reclaim this 200 moving average. So look for that Monday. Now, Microsoft, there's that all-time high. All-time high, right? And I'm going to answer another question about Microsoft too in tomorrow's video. But like we said, the air is thin up here. There is no resistance, and you can see it. The 50 is about to cross the 100. Once it got above that 335 area, you can just see it. There's just no resistance there for it, and you see how it moved. And this ain't a Tesla. This is not a Meta. This ain't a Netflix. This is Microsoft, right? But it's moving like Tesla, isn't it? And so that's lets you know big money. Look how far up that how stretched out that MACD is. But hey, this is big money moving in here. And I think a lot more people feel more comfortable putting money in this than actually Apple. I think that's why it's moving better than Apple, to be honest with you. And so again, those two are the top two stocks. When they're moving like they did today, the indices are going to roar. Again, you can see it's overbought, but again, when it's on these crazy rallies, it can just stay up there, right? And just keep moving up because there is no resistance above this. So at some point in time, you think people start taking profit. The traders will. The long-term investors are going to stay in. And so, we'll see if that trend line means anything or not. Again, we'll set this up for now support. We'll see if we come back down and retest it and turn it into support. That's the big thing to look for now on Microsoft. And, looking at SMH, I said, if you want this market to pull back, you've got to have semiconductors and the Magnificent 7 pull back. Well, it did the exact opposite. It came back down. What we talking about? Retesting that trend line right there, moved up, busted right through the resistance. Now, I want at least one, possibly two candles above this on the daily to turn this into support. That's what we got to be looking for. We're in a strong seasonality of semiconductors, okay? We've seen the chart multiple times. This right here, I'm actually going to pull it down to right there. So around 157.85 is going to be resistance, which is basically where it's at today. And then you have all-time highs on this right above it around 159, I believe that is. And so that's going to be your next two levels to look at. Again, air's thin up here. There is nothing going on. So the biggest thing to bring this down is going to be what? NVIDIA, AMD, Taiwan Semiconductors, okay? And speaking of AMD, I know one of our members, congratulations to him, just knows how to trade this thing like crazy. And he's making a lot of money on it. It moves through these volume gaps. I'm telling you, like I say, once it gets up through there, that's what we said, it's going to go to 119, 120 very quickly. I do have this trend line right here. I'm expecting around 123, 124. We'll see if we get a rejection there if it continues to move. Right now, we are setting at another level of resistance. So we kind of scroll out here and get a better look of what we're talking about here. You just look to the right, look for what I like to call the tree branches. Like once you get above that trend line, the air is very thin. Again, resistance is going to be nil because that's all-time highs to the left. And it was a big move up and it was a big move down for it, right? Pretty quick. And so if it can get above that trend line, this thing's going to keep on going. Again, would I like to see a pullback if you're a long-term investor? Yes. But I can't predict this market and neither can you. So Amazon, here's another big one. This is the level we're looking for. 145 up there. It's going to fill that RTH gap. Now it's busted above this trend line. 145, is that right? Is going to be the resistance. And then as we pull up the MACD and the RSI, you can see again, not overbought on the daily. MACD looks good. And when we actually zoom out, I mean, you can see right here, and look, if it gets above around that 145 area, it's going to go to 150 pretty quick. After that, that's when you run into resistance because this right here, up here, where it accumulated, that was distribution, right? But that's where it accumulated. So that's when you're going to start running into your resistance around 149, 150. Keep that in mind. Now, to show you what a crazy day this was, you have the recovery of the day. Unity Software reports earnings, takes a dump, and the next thing you know, this thing rallies 22% on the day. I don't know what was said on the earnings call. I don't know if it was just what it was, but that was a huge dump this morning, just like a lot of these companies have done on earnings. And what a recovery it made. Sometimes what you'll get on a stock like that, because it's a high flyer, high beta stock, probably a lot of people had calls bought up probably by the boatload. And so they got crushed at the open and bell and stuff, and most likely panic outsold them. Oh, look at that. Get a U-turn. Again, maybe they said something on the call. Please let us know in the comments if that's what happened. But you've seen a lot of these stocks get crushed on earnings for sure. And the ones, because you really hadn't seen too many, unless it's like a crypto stock, pop on earnings, by 20, 30%, but you've seen a lot drop. And then the ones who have good earnings, you're seeing like a 7% pop maybe. I forgot there was one yesterday, it popped 7%, sold off all the way down with the market coming down and then gained it back today. But 7% on a high flyer is not that much. That's usually what you see right there. And you saw a 22% recovery. So congratulations if you bought calls at the bottom. They paid off very well for you. But looking at the market in front of us right now, who knows what next week is going to hold. I believe we got CPI next week, but we'll go over that in Sunday's video. But you just have a lot of thrust, they like to say, which is just shorts getting absolutely slaughtered. Still a lot of bearishness, believe it or not. That put call ratio is kind of shocking to me. It's still where it's at right now, and you want to see that come down to actually normalize the market in a way. The VIX is getting crushed for sure. And again, it's just a lot of these beaten down stocks are getting bought up, but they really don't have any weight in the market, right? It's just the Mag 7 is on fire. I mean, Tesla's the only one. The rest of them are just moving. Like NVIDIA is going ballistic, AMD is going ballistic, Amazon. I mean, even Google's hanging in there, and it's not a high flyer at all. But and then you got Microsoft, the big daddy, Apple. They're just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed. That's big money. Just keep pushing them higher. I actually read an article yesterday too, which I'll try to share. I'm gonna share it with the members because I got to research even more about this big hedge fund and what they're doing with the Mag 7. But it was very interesting to see what they can do to the market, I guess, because they hold so much. It's like $1 trillion hedge fund, I believe it is, as far as their holdings just in the Mag 7. So, and what they're doing with options and stuff. So I'll research it more and probably try to bring it to you guys and see what you think and stuff. But tomorrow I'll be answering your questions in the Saturday's video. Very good questions, by the way. And then Sunday we'll set it up for the week. We'll see if we'll have another green week. Because it's just been this crazy recovery. So anyway, hope you guys have a good weekend. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Really appreciate all your support, and I'll see you tomorrow.